Hey, Jay here. I get a lot of questions about what oils we use, chemicals, different things like that. I'm going to kind of show you everything. We have a lot of different stuff we use in the shop. Like when we're out here, sometimes we'll use almost everything on this bench in one day. Like we use all this stuff. So I'm going to kind of show you everything, talk about why we do it. Some stuff have been sponsored by, so to speak, but a lot of the stuff, most of it, I just buy. And so I was just going to give you some tips on what I think on it, and hopefully it can help you on your dirt bike or ATV. Okay, so the first question, biggest question, that's the biggest arguing point, it seems, is motor oil. There's a lot of dirt bike specific companies that preach on their oils, and it's fairly expensive a quart, and I'm not here to bash any of those. All I can tell you is I know this stuff right here, Shell Rotella, is really good. It's been tested by top teams, and I kind of get the inside on a lot of top teams have run and do run this oil. And I've run it in my diesel truck for years, and even our Sequoia ran it for years. The cars that can get away, vehicles that can get away with this, fine. Obviously, your vehicles that take 0 to 5, you're not going to run this by any means. But in dirt bikes and ATVs, this stuff's amazing. 2-stroke, 4-stroke, we run it in everything, period. It works amazing, and it's great oil. I'm not going to give you all the science about it, and if you guys want to comment, but the stuff works great. It's also very inexpensive. At Walmart, around $12.88 most of the time, or something, and they're a gallon. I'll usually get 10, 12 of them at a time when I go in there and grab them. Because I don't like going to Walmart any more than I have to, so I'll just grab a bunch of them at one time. And that's the best, easiest way to get this. So a good oil for your bike. The other question I get is how often should you change your oil? And that's such a huge discrepancy. But basically, if your oil's coming out black, then you've gone too long. So you start just bumping that time up until it's just coming out brown with a little bit of black. It will give you a little bit of a gauge. Most of our trail bikes, 5 hours on a trail bike, and a motorbike, 2 to 4. Sometimes on a bike that doesn't take a lot of oil, like a Yamaha, it could be as low as one ride on a motocross, say YZ250F with a good rider on there. YZF 250 is the correct way to say that. So that's a good look at oil. So the Shell Rotella T is the one to get. They have different versions that are synthetic and different things like that. This is the one to get right here. Okay, so the next question is 2-stroke oil. I've run Klotz R50 for years. It's a really good synthetic oil that doesn't load up. It's a good clean burning oil. We also have run and have friends who've run, and I'll put a picture in right here, of Motor X smokeless oil. This is a really good oil and KTM partners with them on this oil. It is very good as well. So those are the two-stroke oils that we kind of stick to, are those two oils, and have had nothing but good experience with those. And I know there's plenty of good oils out there. Also, there's some that are really dirty and not as good. But from our experience, R50 and the Motor X, both good to use in your 2-stroke trail or motocross bike. Grip glue. This is a common question we get. A lot of guys, there's tons of different grip glues out there. Guys use different things. This has come out in the last year or so from Motion Pro, and the thing I like about it is that it's really clean. When you pull the grip off after you're done, there's no having to sand it off. It just rubs right off. Maybe not quite as strong as some, but it does bond easier, and I think it's easier to work with than most grip glues that are sold. And I know there's some stuff you could buy at Home Depot and stuff and get similar results, like a quick cement. I've tried some of those over the years, but in the knurled area of the bar, they'll fill it up, and it's like you have to sand it off, and so it's not as friendly. Where this is, if I'm in a hurry, we'll use like a super glue. This is like Gorilla super glue. We'll use super glue, which is can be very difficult if you don't get it on correctly and quickly and right. So this was easier to use. Super glue would be the other choice we would go with. The next common one is air filter oil. Now, this stuff is by far the best. I don't know, for some reason I think it's changed over the years. Maybe it's a little bit maybe waterier than it used to be, if that makes sense. But this oil, when you put your hands together, you get rubber gloves, and it's sticky. And this stuff, you saturate that filter, you don't suck dirt through with this in there. If you have a lighter oil, you can actually suck dirt through, which for a lot of people is just fine if they're not riding in silty conditions or tough conditions. We want to make sure that motor's fully protected, so that's why we run this Maxima FFT. This stuff is just amazing. Okay, Tire paste. I change a lot of tires, as everybody knows. Right here, keep a little sponge in there. This stuff is from Hunter Engineering, and it's for, car, truck tires, And it's not easy to buy this stuff. There's a Hunter Engineering rep in your town. You have to contact that guy and meet him at a tire shop and buy it like a drug deal, on the side of the road. That's kind of the deal that when you get this stuff. And it's really not that expensive. It's like $30 for this whole thing right here, which will last most people a lifetime. It lasts me about, I bench up there maybe a year. I'll use one of these up in a year, and then I'll use another one in my van on all that stuff. So that's tire paste, and this stuff's amazing, really good, better than using WD-40, Windex, any of that stuff. Not as good as just using good tire paste. Another one I get is brake fluid. There's high dollar brake fluid. This is DOT 4. This is a high temperature stuff. This stuff's available at O'Reilly's. I think is the one we buy it at out here. And it's like $8 or $10 for this big old thing here where you know what these things cost. And then what I'll end up doing is I like this bottle with this little hose we rig up. We drill a hole, snug the hose in there, and I can pour in nicely without spilling all over. Especially the rear brake, it's hard to get in there. So for brakes, bleeding brakes, we'll use this. I don't even know what brand that is here. Brake Best Select. And there are good quality stuff at the auto parts store that won't break your bank on buying, $20 for this little one that has the same or less boiling point than this stuff does. So you can read on here and find the good boiling point. That will give you some good information. Some people might argue with me, but this stuff, again, plenty good is the high dollar stuff, the motorcycle stuff. Next is thread lockers. People call it Loctite, just like ketchup or whatever, but we call them thread lockers because we do use different brands. We have used 3-Bond over the years, but we use the Loctite. We use low a lot on the sprocket bolts, on both sides of the sprocket bolts. We use low. We use high, like in places like a Kickstarter or a countershaft bolt, those kind of bolts. Medium, maybe linkage stuff, things like that. And then there's also the pastes are kind of nice to use as well. We'll use those a little bit. I don't know why we'll use them. It's just a little bit easier, with the paste on there. Something like that. Grease. This is Silcoline grease. We always cut a hole in here so you can stick your little brush in here and just pull it out how much you need. This grease is one of the best we found in the industry is Motorex. This one seems pretty dang good. When we pull stuff apart a year or two later, this one seems to be one of the better ones that we've used is the Motorex one, which I'm not sponsored by or anything like that. But it seems like one of the better oils out there. Hand soap, I have a dispenser at my sink from Grip Clean. Bryce is the owner of this. He's a freestyle motocross guy, so that's one of the main reasons we use it, but it's good stuff. It's got grit in it, really nice stuff to clean up with, and I'll use Dawn dish soap after that usually. Get the hands clean over at my sink. I keep a knife there, keep the nails clean. You gotta not look like a savage, right? That's the deal? All right. And then I've shown this before, aluminum cleaner. This is what we'll use to kind of etch on for cleaning an engine or different parts. This with some Scotch-Brite. You can clean a lot of stuff up with this, but you also want to be careful. Any of these chemicals and stuff, you want to have gloves on and be well ventilated, all that. This is a replacement for xylene, which is the one we used to use, but now California makes everything tough. But this xylene was awesome. And this stuff we use for getting, there's a gallon thing of Goof Off, which has usually a higher price than this stuff. And this is good at getting like sticker residue off, that kind of thing. We'll do that and then use contact cleaner afterwards. While we're on cleaners, contact cleaner, go back and forth. I've bought contact cleaner from the auto shops and stuff. One of the downsides is you can get it cheap. A lot of times you go in there and buy a case for like $2 a can. But the stuff doesn't work as good as, say, Maxima or like this Klotz. It doesn't work as good as our Moto stuff. It leaves a film. It can be residuey, and especially before doing graphics or things, you want it really clean. So good contact cleaner. Chrome cleaner. We actually use this on pipes a lot, like even our FMF chrome pipes. This will clean them right up. Just this paper towel works really well. Cleaner, scrubbing bubbles. We get it at Costco. It's really cheap. It comes in like a 4-pack. They're like $2 a can or so by the time you get a big gulp of them. This isn't a very aggressive cleaner. Like some cleaners like Simple Green and some other ones can stain your metal. in places, or your plastic in places, if you spray it on the bike, so you're going to wash it, it can actually stain areas like your hubs and some of those areas that are cast aluminum finish. It can stain them. So this stuff's really good, sprayed under the fenders, and it stays out by our wash area where we wash bikes, and so it's kind of nice just to have a can out there. As far as other cleaners, I found like some of the environmentally friendly, more stuff like this, Citrus Clean. This is just a small company. This is a concentrate that we'll mix up into a bottle, and this stuff works really good. And in some ways, I think one of the best cleaners I've tried in the last year is that stuff. It's pretty awesome. Lubes, I use just W40, or Maxima has one called MPPL, multi-purpose penetrating lube or something like that. And that stuff's really good. So we'll use this on chains. I don't use chain lube. A lot of people freak out, but I don't use any chain lube. I use this or any other type of lubricant, because I feel like, and I've talked to a lot of people on chains, and I'm going to get people argue with me, but chain lube that's sticky can grab sand and dirt and actually be more abrasive in your chain. So we just lube it up every time we're out with, especially O-ring chains. You don't want a chain lube on there. You want an oily, more chain on there. This PB Blaster is great for letting stuff soak that's got something as a penetrating lube. I don't know for sure that it works better in W40. There's guys online that have tried like tests to see which penetrating lube works best. We've used that over the years and have had good results. Okay, so we have this Uni Air Filter Cleaner. This stuff's really good at cleaning air filters, also as a degreaser in place of junk on a really dirty, nasty bike. Cleaning air filters can be kind of a tough job. That's why I try not to do it too often. So we will rough them out with gas, clean them with this sometimes. Next, and then before our last step, with usually a soap and water or a similar deal, and then blowing them off. As far as antifreeze, there's Peak. I usually get whatever's on sale, honestly. But this Peak stuff, they sponsored Pro Circuit 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. So always been kind of fond of it. Anybody that sports moto, I'm usually there if we can. You don't need fancy coolants. Now, there are coolants like Redline, Water Wetter, and different things that actually do, I think, help prevent overheating. There's also like Evans has a special coolant that's like more of an oil-based stuff. Those are kind of, the downside of those is you can't mix regular coolant with it if you're out somewhere. You're stuck with that, so you have to bring backup stuff. Not saying that stuff's bad by any means, because I think there's some good probably traits to that. But for me, we don't have a whole lot. We're not racing like gnarly heavy-duty race team over here. All of our stuff, we've never really had any overheating problems or problems like that. On chemicals, as far as like silicone, there's a couple of things we use a lot of, and that's just a regular silicone for different things to either to hold on to or exhaust on say a two-stroke. We'll use 1211 from 3Bond. It's one of the excellent, or 1104 is the Yama Bond, same as that for like engine cases on there. Okay, so I really like, when we're cleaning up bikes and is non-abrasive cleaners. Glass cleaner is really nice. I just use it on the bikes in different places to clean a little mud spot or whatever we missed when we're washing the bike. And this stuff's awesome because it's a spray and you don't break the bottles like, say, a Windex bottle. And I think it works better, and it's great in the cars. So we get this stuff in bulk like at Costco or Sam's Club, wherever my wife gets it. She does awesome. She's the quartermaster. And then as far as cleaning the bikes, a lot of guys use like SC1 spray, those types of sprays, which are fine. We'll give it a little look. One of the reasons I don't like them is it makes your bike too slippery and gives it a kind of false look of clean. And so we really don't use those a lot. We'll spray under the fenders before we ride with WD-40. We'll spray under the fenders with that, or if we have one of those silicone sprays like an SC1, we'll spray under the fenders with those. Or if it's really muddy, guys will even use Pam spray from the kitchen under the fenders, so it's way easier to wash when you go to wash it. So that's a little bit on the cleaning side. That's it. Those are the main chemicals we use. I don't know how long that was, but how long was that?
13 and a half minutes.
That's a long time to talk about chemicals and oils, so hopefully that helps you a little bit. You can see all the stuff we use. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of comments on what I said wrong, but hopefully it gives you some ideas of the stuff we use and like. I have changed stuff over the years, so I'm somewhat open. I'm not too narrow-minded. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what to use in your garage and on your bikes.